All right, folks, here we are back out at the forge again. I'm going to try to move some steel again today. Got a little piece of 1/4 inch by not quite 1.5 inches. It's only about 4 inches long. Let's see what we can make out of this. All right, here we go. Going to start out by drawing this piece out, get it to a uniform width. And here I am messing around with the wrong tongs again, but oh well. Get the width down a little bit more even. And you can see as I draw the width down, that's actually thickening that piece up. And I'm using the corner of the anvil, the edge of the anvil, as a fuller to stretch that piece. And then as I hammer in the divots that are made by the edge of the anvil, it pushes the steel out lengthwise. First we did the edge. Now we're going to do the same thing with the flat. Using the hammer over the edge of the anvil. Get it nice and hot. And drive those divots back out. And that thins and lengthens the stock. And once again, just working the steel out. And this is 1095, so this is really tough stuff to move. Been done by now on the power hammer, but that wouldn't help folks that don't have power hammers. So we're going to do it all by hand. Get back in here and thin it out a little more, stretch it lengthwise more. And rinse and repeat. If you pay attention, you can really see how that steel stretches out. I'm going to end up with a little more than what I want for this knife. Gonna come out maybe a 1/2 inch more steel than what I actually need, but that'll be okay. Got our length pretty close, so now I'm just evening things up, taking out all the hammer marks. That steel is not nearly as hot as it looks on the camera. Get it pretty uniform. It's really close. There we go. Just a few more little hammer marks there to knock back out. Now, another fellow might be able to go ahead and start forging with the hammer marks still in there, but I'd rather have my piece uniform to begin with. So now we'll forge in the point. Don't know what kind of blade I'm going to make right now, but everything starts with a point. think I'm going to make a skinner, a little upswept skinner with a thumb rest on the spine. So I need that point a little longer. Figure out exactly how much blade I want, or how much material I want for the blade. And we'll mark and hammer in our blade to hammer transition, or blade to handle transition. Yes, folks, English has been my primary language since I was able to talk, but apparently I don't speak English very well today, so just bear with me. We'll work out our preform. Can sort of see what I need for a preform for this blade. And we're going to hammer the handle in. Nothing fancy on the handle. Just want a regular old taper from the heel of the blade back out to the end of the handle. A little thinner taper than that though, so we'll have to work on that in a little bit. If you're hearing a strange clicking noise in the background, it's my dog running around here in the house. And we'll hammer in our taper into the handle. Clean it up. And just like I thought, hammering that in stretched the handle out a little longer than I wanted it to be, but that's okay. Trim it later. Try to get everything smooth and flat and get the hammer marks out. And then we'll hammer in a little more curve in the handle. Yeah, it's probably pretty much going to do it. Put our backwards curve in the blade and start hammering out the bevels. Get the heel started first and move on from there. You can see how that's putting a sweep into that blade. That upward sweeping curve, that's a little more than I want right on the tip. But I can straighten that out just a little bit right here. Just by drawing the spine down a little bit. Drawing the taper down on the spine will straighten that curve out a hair. And that's getting to be pretty close. Pretty happy with that. So do a little more work on the handle. Draw in a little distal taper. It's going to be pretty good. Knock a little curve into it over the horn. And no, I couldn't be bothered to move the camera. If anybody out there is watching and not smart enough to figure out what I was doing on the horn of the anvil, well, now we need to straighten that blade out a little bit. I got a little too much curve. And just holding it in the tongs and smacking it on the anvil lets it straighten itself naturally. That's pretty good. All right, we've got that one done. So we started out with that piece 4 inches long. And here we go. I did take it in there and clean the profile up on the grinder a little bit and knock the scale off the edge. Straighten it up a little because I did have a few too many hammer marks there. I didn't forge it as clean as I should have. But that's okay. That's why God made man smart enough to invent a grinder. That's going to be a nice little skinner. We're going to throw it back, and I'm going to throw it back in the fire and anneal it. Then we'll bore the holes in the handle, and we'll be ready to move on with the heat treat. But anyway, that's all I'm doing on video today. Thank you very much for watching. It's very much appreciated. Be sure and hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. It's much appreciated. God bless, and have a great day.